How can we worship time? Time. In the yogic sciences and Indian culture being a consequence of yogic sciences or a watered-down version which common people follow, we've always seen Kala as the ultimate manifestation or the fundamental manifestation. The word Kala represents two things, time and darkness. Darkness means there is nothing, it is empty. So emptiness and time are referred to by the same word because emptiness means space. Space exists only because there is time. It is possible to move from point A to point B, not because there is space, but because there is time. If there was no time, if there was no such thing as now and then, you could not move from here and there. There would not be here and there. Generally, logically, people understand because there is space, it takes time. No, because there is time, space exists. This may bend your logic right now, but that's how it is. If you look at creation more profoundly than intellectually, you would see time is first and then is space. That is why both are referred to as Kala. Kala means emptiness, darkness, space. At the same time, Kala means time. So, you want to worship time, you have Mahakaleshwar in Ujjain. Just this year there was a Kumbh Mela for him. So, what is pleasant and what is unpleasant is determined by you, not by the situation. What you think is filth, some other creature loves it, isn't it? What you think is filth, if you throw it to a plant, it will make fragrance out of it. So, the question is not about how you respond or react to situations around you. The question is about whether you have taken charge of your faculties or not. Is your thought, your emotion, your energy, your body, is it taking instructions from you or is it in a state of compulsive reaction to life around you? The moment you are in state of reaction, you must understand that you have become a slave to the existence around you, because somebody else can determine what happens within you. If somebody determines what happens around you, that is called slavery. But if somebody can determine what happens within you, somebody can make you happy, somebody can make you unhappy, somebody can make you miserable, somebody can make you joyful, this means you are a super slave. So how to come out of this slavery, if that's a question? First and foremost thing is to see that my life is my making, whichever way it is right now. I like it, I don't like it, but it is my making. If you see this, suddenly you will know how to respond. But without knowing a specific life situation of yours, if I tell you how to respond, tomorrow the situation is different and you respond the same way. Now you're moving towards morality. This is the fundamental difference between morality and spirituality. Morality is a ready-made response to everything the same way. Spirituality means you become an active intelligence and respond as each situation deserves. How you acted in a given situation yesterday may not be relevant today. But if you take to committed response like this, that if this happens, this is what I will do not fix this, because you are choosing to freeze your intelligence and operate in an automatic mode. This is not the way a human being should exist, because everything that you can do, every creature in the world is doing. I'm saying, What you can do, an earthworm, a grasshopper, a bird and a dog are doing the same things. What is it that you're doing the great thing? Survival, earning a living, maybe reproducing, and of course dying one day. So just for this simple process that every other creature is doing, they're doing it simply, you doing it with a lot of fuss. Yes. What is a simple process of existence, you're doing it with enormous fuss, simply not because your life is complicated. You just evolved a little bit. If we take away half your brain, you will have no confusion, you will be peaceful. As all many spiritual teachers are aspiring for you that you should become peaceful. If we take half your brain out, you will be peaceful. Because to create turmoil, you need some intelligence. Now, you're asking for these kind of solutions. How do I do this? How do I do that? So you are somewhere seeing, how should I freeze my intelligence? Because somewhere deep inside you understand, the source of my trouble is my intelligence. Well, isn't human intelligence the greatest benediction that we have? But if it turns against you, your intelligence turns against you, it is the greatest curse. So you can call it stress, you can call it anxiety, you can call it misery, you can call it madness. No, it is just that your own intelligence has turned against you. That's all that's happened to you. That you are on a self-help of torture, self-torture. You can poke yourself from morning to evening and have very philosophical descriptions of what you're going through or very medical descriptions of what you're going through. But all that's happening is, you have been given an intelligence which is reasonably sharp and you don't have a hand which is sensible, it is keep on poking yourself. If we take away half your brain, you will see you will be very peaceful. Doesn't matter what's happening in the world. Now, only problem is all potential is gone with the problem. Problem is gone, but potential of being human also is gone. This is not a solution. The solution is when you take charge of your faculties, that your body and your mind takes instructions from you. If your mind took instructions from you, would you keep yourself absolutely joyful every moment of your life or no? So there is no problem in your life except that you've not taken charge of your own faculty. As I said, you have never bothered to read the user's manual, but you know about nuclear science. This is a huge problem. You know about how the cosmos is made, you know about the various galaxies, you can get it on the internet, but you don't know a thing about this one. But your experience of life on this planet is determined by what's happening within you, not by what's happening around you.
Wow. Question from Dr. Naveen.
Guruji, good evening. Just one compliment, today is the Engineering Day, so congratulations all the engineers in the world. You are wonderful engineers, you are connecting the world, you are transforming the world, you are bridging the universe together. There are 7 wonders in the world, for me, you are the 8th wonder. Thank you so much. Two questions. People are always worried about doing right thing. Why they are not worried about doing things the right way? And the second question, what happened to our land, India? Why all the goddesses, all the saints and sadhus and sadhvis from ages, why they are born in India? We have produced maximum number of gods. We have produced maximum number of devis. If you think about every town, every district, every place, there are some god or goddesses. What happened to our land? Why anywhere else in the world, there are not so many gods or sadhus or sadhvis?
So, today is Engineers' Day, as you said. So we're talking in engineering. About how come India is supposed to have 33 million gods and goddesses. This happened when our population was 33 million. But after that, we got little shy of creating gods. Because people from outside came and said there is only one God, and we started feeling shy about our many gods, and we reduced it to 24. Most Indian homes at least have 24, not 33 million, all right? These 33 million, as I said, happened when our population was that much. Tell me, how beautiful the world would be today if everybody had their own God. The problem arose only when 100 people gathered behind one God. That's when the fight started. If you had your God and I had my God, we got nothing to quarrel, at least in the other world. Maybe local property we may quarrel, but if problem comes in the local property business, we can always make a deal, isn't it? Yes or no? But when we start fighting about our God, there is no end, there is no closure to it, because you can't stop, you're willing to die. But if you had your God, I had my God, no problem. And if you have a child, we'll create another God for him. If you have a grandchild, we'll create another God for him. There would be no fight, isn't it? Above all, this came up because India is a godless culture. When I say godless culture, there is no sense of the God in India. All the gods that you worship, whether you're Rama, Krishna, Shiva, whatever, these are all people who walk the geography of that land. We saw them as exalted beings. In their lifetimes, they lived in such a way that they inspired a whole generation to such a point that we call them devas. A deva did not mean a god. There was no word called God in India, okay? This is an imported word. Today we are using it. Otherwise, there never was a word called God in any of the Indian languages. We said devas and devatas. It's very appropriate that in India today, they call Sachin Tendulkar as the cricketing god. It's very in sync with our culture because somebody became an extraordinary achievement, almost superhuman kind of achievement. Now we say he's a deva, he's a cricketing god, because nobody ever played cricket like him. Like this, in every sphere of life, we had gods. Whoever rose beyond what is considered normal, we said, he needs to be bowed down to, he needs to be emulated in the society. Not one god who is up there that you never saw, but many gods who are here who rose above what is considered as normal. Let me tell you where this comes from. For example, Rama is one of the most popular deities. If you look at Rama's life, this is going to make me unpopular again, because I had a huge reaction in Texas when I spoke something like this, because they don't listen. First, when the first word is said, already they're reacting. So please don't react, just wait, listen to me. If you look at Rama's life, it is a series of failures, okay? His entire life. He was a rightful king, coronated, just married, newly married. For some political reason, he ends up in the forest, in the jungle, with his newly married wife. His wife is not some tribal girl, she's a princess, not made to live in a jungle. Of course, in your movies, they showed you Rama and Sita floating around with golden deer all around them. That's not how a jungle is, believe me. I have lived in the jungles by myself alone for weeks on end. That's not how a jungle is, it's hard, okay? If you want to survive there, it takes extraordinary strength and it takes a beating. If you leave any of our ladies here in the jungle for 3 months, after 3 months you can't recognize them, they will become like that. Yes, everything will change about them. They won't look like this. So Sita, a newly married princess in the jungle, is not a romantic situation, okay? It is not. So seeing their plight, his brother leaves his own family and walks with his brother and sister-in-law because he knows the hardships that they will go through. As if that was not bad enough, then she gets kidnapped and taken to Sri Lanka. And the man becomes despondent. You know, I was in a town, a small town in Andhra Pradesh, and I was speaking to about 6,000 to 8,000 people are there and a few school children. One little girl, 14-year-old girl, stands up and asks, Sadhguru, they say Rama walked all the way from Ayodhya to Sri Lanka. How is it practical? Is it practical for a man to walk from Ayodhya to Sri Lanka? I said, see, you're a 14-year-old girl right now, you're a little girl, but in a few years you'll find a man. When that happens, suppose you got lost, would you want a man who will walk the distance to find you, or somebody who finds a practical solution in the neighborhood? Well, even that little girl knows she wants a man who will come all the way. So, he walks all the way, wanting to find his wife. Obviously, she means that much to him. There is no flight to Colombo, walking down the subcontinent over 2,500 miles, okay? But she must have meant that much to him to go there, wages a war, burns down the city, gets his wife back. Again back in the kingdom, something goes wrong politically, again he sends her to the jungle, this time fully pregnant. No sonogram. So he doesn't know whether it's boy or girl or boys or girls or what. Then she goes there and delivers twins, 2 boys. He doesn't know. When they were 14 years of age, he wages a war with them and he could have killed them. If really some tragedy must happen to any human being, means knowingly or unknowingly we killed our own children, this is the worst thing that can happen to you, isn't it? He almost got there. He almost killed them. By some fortune, that was avoided, and then Sita dies in the forest without ever seeing him or he ever setting his eyes upon her again. You don't call this a successful life. If any one of these things happen in your life, you will be broken, isn't it? But all this series of wrongs happened in his life, but he still remained balanced, never became vengeful, never became hateful, never became an angry man. If he had to wage a war, he waged a war. If he had to do whatever he had to do, he did that to the best of his ability, but never became a slave of the external situation. It is this we worship. He is not a success, one series of failures, but we worship the man because it doesn't matter what the world threw at him. It could not in any way disturb him. He went about doing what he has to do to the best of his ability. It is this we worship as godliness, not being superhuman. A saint means somebody who has achieved a certain pleasantness of being. This is why the culture, any saint comes into the town, everybody goes to seek blessings. We don't know who he is, we don't know what he can do, what he cannot do, but he has achieved a certain pleasantness of being. So all he can do is bless. So, blessing means little lubrication to your life, because the more disaligned you are, more lubrication you need. If you're very well aligned, with minimal lubrication, you will go. See, if your car engine is well aligned, it doesn't burn oil. If it is little misaligned, it burns oil. You will need a lot of lubrication. So, people knowing that they have not worked upon themselves, they'll always seek blessings. as much as possible. They want to be blessed as much as possible, so that even with misaligned system, misaligned life, still with lubrication you can move on. So you go to a sage because you're seeking wisdom about something, maybe about your insurance claim.
All right, we're going to…
And if you go to a seer because you want to see something that you're not able to see, maybe tomorrow, maybe 10 years later, or maybe something of yourself that you yourself do not see. People come and ask, Sadhguru, can you see something about me that I don't know? Because you're looking for a seer. A mystic means you go to a mystic because you're not just interested in your well-being. You want to know the very nature of existence, beyond your concerns of life. Then you go to a mystic. You go to your guru because guru is like a mechanic. That is, he can roll up his sleeves and fix up things for you, fundamental things. And you go to your Sadhguru. Sadhguru is not a title, it's a description. That is, now if you want to go to your doctor, you should not go to your pediatric. Doctor always says, doctor, but pediatrician, you should not go there, you're not…
Unfortunately, no.
No, I mean to
I'm much older than
say, he's not qualified to treat you. Let me put it that
That
way.
would be funny.
You should not go to your gynec.
Yeah.
So, you go to a doctor who's relevant to you. So he puts his stuff below as a description so that you know whether to go to him or not. So when you say Sadhguru, you do not go to him to know about the scriptures, because he is as unread as you or worse than you. You do not go to him to know about your insurance claim.
That you're
Not-
gonna have problems.
Not because he cannot know about it, he is not interested in those things. He prefers that you don't have insurance, that you have sense. You live your life right, rather than do it wrong and then claim. So you go to your Sadhguru because you want to know the nature of your interiority. You want to find solution to your basic existence, not to your insurance claim, not to whether you're, I can tell you a very bad joke, but let's skip it. Because the man in Seattle, I don't want him to suffer.
Okay, can we go…
So, these are different aspects. So if you're just seeking a blessing, yes, we can bless you. But my intention for you is that you can live without lubrication. You can live without lubrication only when you're perfectly aligned. When everything is perfectly aligned, if you strive for this, you can live without blessing. My intent is that you come to that space where you don't need anybody's blessings. But right now, if you need, yes, we will bless you.
Very well said. The treatment of yoga in treating diseases.
Yoga is not a therapy. Yoga is a certain discipline that you bring into your life, of doing life right. Cancer may be caused due to many reasons. It is not as simple as people think. It is, I think slowly, medical science is exploring and finding newer and newer reasons as to why cancer might have happened in an individual person. So one fundamental thing is that it is not a disease that came to you from outside. It is not something caused by another organism. It is something caused by you, maybe in reaction to something. Possibly some influence, maybe a chemical influence, genetic influence, or your own attitudes and thoughts and emotions. There are many, many factors. This is not a time to explore that. So, Is yoga a cure for cancer? No. But is it possible that if you are in yoga, you may not get cancer? Yes, very much possible. Is it possible that if I already have cancer, that I may walk out of it with the right kind of practice? Possible. Because it is not caused by any one particular cause. When the causes are so… there's variety of causes, there are variety of things to do. So if someone has cancer and whatever stage they are in, first thing is, the responsible thing to do is seek medical attention. But medicine itself is damaging to the system, that we know. But to recover from the impact of the medicine, definitely we can do this because we have done this for cancer survivors and people have recovered miraculously from whatever the ill effects of medicine, because it is our own cells turning against us. You can't pinpoint them and treat them, you can't pinpoint them and shoot them. When you shoot all over the place. So damage happens to the system. To recover from that damage, definitely yoga can do wonderful things, but if someone has cancer, don't join yoga class today. You must get treatment, and then, yes, yoga will help to recover.
Thank you. Let's come to the audience now. Okay, let's take one question here first, and then we'll come to you, sir. Thank you, Rohit. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. Hari Om Sadhguruji. I have a question for on violence. There's so much of violence all around us in the world. Is it part of a grand cosmic
Please don't
design?
share your domestic situations here.
No, Fortunately, no, Sadhguruji. Is it part of a grand cosmic design, or is it something that we humans can do to minimize? Thank you.
One thing is, people thinking there is too much violence today is a wrong notion. In many ways, the world is seeing much less violence today than in the past. Big aberrations like world wars have happened. But beyond that, if you look, in the ancient past, in any culture, the volume of violence that was happening on a daily basis was much, much higher on a day-to-day basis for almost every human being compared to what it is today. Most of you are never in the threat of day-to-day violence unless you are in certain parts of the world. But today it feels like there is too much violence, thanks to TV.
Not us. We're pretty innocent.
Because, see, 1,000 years ago, you're here in New Jersey, somewhere, let's say in the next state, in Pennsylvania, if 100 people got killed today, you could be sitting here enjoying the full moon. Everything peaceful, perfect. Maybe after 6 months you would come to know 100 people got killed. By then the entire impact would be gone. 6 months ago or a year ago it happened. But today, if 2 people get killed, the blood will flow into your sitting room. You have a television in your dining room? So into your dining table, you have one in bedroom? Usually people have. Into your bedroom, and people have a little TV in their bathroom. I'm saying blood will flow all over, wherever you go. And you look into your phone, blood will flow, ooze at you right there. So, even the 2 people getting killed becomes like a mega thing in your mind because you witness it like never before. You would have never witnessed this violence as you're witnessing today, even 25 years ago, isn't it? So, it is coming into your home, which is a good thing, because now you're understanding this should not happen. If it happens somewhere, it never came to your notice, who cares whether it happens or not? Now there is more concern about the little violence that happens. We should be concerned. Can it be fixed, or is it a cosmic design? Come on. All the nonsense that we do, you can't throw it at the cosmos. There is gravity on the planet, whatever you throw up will land on you. It's a good thing. So don't throw it up. If you and me behave sensibly, in our transactions there will be no violence, isn't it? Yes or no? Otherwise every human transaction, whether it is in the marketplace or between nations or in the marriage, every transaction there is a possibility of violence, yes or no? Every transaction, if you don't conduct it sensibly. So, if we bring world to a better level of sense, you can definitely bring down violence considerably. Right now, they are not just fighting. See, there are many ways in which people come to violence. One thing is, there is only one phone, but both of us want it. We may fight on this. Or you look different, I look different, so we simply fight, not knowing why we fight. You may be black, brown, blue, yellow, something, I may be something else, so just because you look different, we fight, not knowing why we fight. Just that you look different, so we fight. Because somewhere inside it's been instilled in us that this is an old tribal mentality where somebody who doesn't look like you must be your enemy, must be a threat. So we kill for this. Another thing is, people have a higher cause. First thing, both of us want the same telephone, we can arrive at a deal. You use it for 5 minutes, I'll use it for 5 minutes. You use it this day, I will use it the other day. Some arrangement we can make. If the fight is about things that are around us, we will fight for some time, then we'll come to our senses. It's not worth continuing, let's make a deal. If the fight is ethnic, that you look different, I look different, it can continue for a long time, but somewhere we'll come to some kind of settlement. But if you're fighting for a higher cause, for which you're willing to die, now very difficult to stop this fight, because you want to die, you don't want to live. If you want to live, then there are deals to make. But if you want to die, no deal to make. But unfortunately, you want to die, but you want me for company. That is the only problem. So we have to bring sense. This sense is gone out of us simply because we have been made to believe things that we do not know. If humanity comes to this much sense, listen to me carefully, if humanity comes to this much sense that you are willing to admit, what I know, what I do not know, I do not know. If this much sense comes, that you don't believe or disbelieve anything, what you know, what you do not know, you do not know. If this much sense comes, 90% of the fight will go. Little fight, that's okay, otherwise how do you make movies?
Okay, go ahead. You're live on TV Asia. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Ottawa.
Ottawa, Canada. Go ahead. Yeah, your question for Sadhguru?
Oh my God! Hi, Sadhguru.
Hello.
I love you a lot. So my question is, so I'm sorry. So I'm 18 now, and I don't really know what I should do with my life. I was in university last year, and then I dropped out, but I went back this year. But I'm still kind of confused as to what I should do with my life.
Thank you for the call.
Hello?
Yes, thank you for the call. He's going to answer now.
Oh.
What's her name, please?
What is your name?
Blossom.
How do you spell that?
BLOSSOM.
Oh, blossom. Oh, time to
Yeah.
blossom. That's all you need to do with life. Just you have to blossom into a full-fledged life. Because the only purpose of life is every life, whether it is a worm, insect, bird or tree, the only aspiration is to become a full-fledged life. An earthworm is trying to become a full-fledged earthworm, a grasshopper is trying to be a full-fledged grasshopper, a mango tree is trying to be a full-fledged mango tree. A human being, knowingly or unknowingly, is aspiring to become a full-fledged human being. But our problem is, we know what is a full-fledged earthworm, we know what is a full-fledged grasshopper, what is a full-fledged mango tree, but we do not know what is a full-fledged human being. One biggest problem is there has not been enough examples around us who are truly full-fledged human beings, too many constipated human beings. I'm saying constipated in consciousness. So, the only thing that you have to do is live up to your name, that you blossom into a full-fledged human being. What do I have to do? This is one thing that we as a generation of people have not invested in. We have invested in all kinds of things which are essentially survival raised to heaven. Simply survival, more complicated survival, more complicated survival, but we have not invested in how to enhance a human being to their fullest possibility of who they are. There is no investment like this. Our schools, our education systems are not focused towards the blossoming of the human being. Our education systems are focused towards producing cogs for the larger machine that we have created. You must understand, when we talk about schooling, we are talking about how to sacrifice our children for the larger machine that we have built. This is a tragic way of conducting humanity. We are still in survival mode, when survival is not even a big problem for us today with the technological development and many things that have happened. Survival has never been better organized than today, isn't it? Yes? Yep. Never, ever been this organized. But still we are in survival mode. How to make a living is the biggest thing. How to make a living, unfortunately, is ruling human consciousness. Till you change this, you will not blossom. Because when you're in survival mode, blossoming is not even the intent. Survival mode is just about surviving. It is time we shift humanity. An 18-year-old girl should not be wondering, how will I earn my living? If you blossom, if you truly blossom, world will take care of you. Earning a living is not even a problem with this big a brain. When an earthworm knows how to earn its living, with 1/1,000,000th of your brain, with such a large brain, you must know how to earn a living. Only problem is, you don't want to just survive, you want to survive like somebody else. That is the problem. If you survive like that somebody that you're thinking of right now, you will see in 3 days you will want to survive like somebody else. Now this is an endless trap. Survival means, I have eaten what is needed for my nourishment. Survival is done. Rest is all, accessories to life. How much accessories should you have? How much you need to make yourself effective in the world? That's how much accessories you must have. Yes? You must have as much accessories needed to make yourself into effective tool in the world. Towards what? If the purpose of life and every life is longing to grow and expand and blossom, that is what needs to happen. In the world, technologies, external technologies have hit the ceiling. You have still not learnt how to use the first model of iPhone to its full capacity. But I'm sure you're already wanting to buy the number 7. Okay? He says, I'm the 8th wonder, not the 7, okay. So, you're already thinking. I'm saying, but have you explored how to use this to its fullest capacity. Have you explored what is this capable of? If every gadget that's on the planet about which you're so enamored, like the phone or the computer or whatever, all those gadgets came out of this gadget. This is the gadget, isn't it? This must be explored. And we must set the world into this mode. The next generation of people should not be thinking about how to earn a living. That should not be a concern at all. The next generation of people should be looking at how every human being on the planet should become a full-fledged human being, can truly blossom, not just by name, but truly blossom, because only then you will have a beautiful world. Or in other words, right now, the most important thing that needs to be done with human beings is that you have to enhance them to a larger possibility than what they are right now. Right now, they are still in survival mode, like the caveman was in survival mode. They're still in the same mode, same fears, same insecurities, same anger, same struggles within themselves and outside of themselves. It's time to change this. If this has to change, you have to become an enhanced human being. You have to blossom.
Thank you, Oliver, for the call. Thank you, Sadhguru. Now, we have about 12.5 minutes left before the live broadcast ends, so let's go to the gentleman there who has been waiting to ask a question. Go ahead, sir. We're asking our studio members to participate now. Viewers.
Namaskar. India has been considered a land of religious people. We've been producing all these gurus and devtas that we spoke about. But in spite of all this, the righteousness that we teach, there seems to be more corruption in India than almost any other country. We rank amongst the highest amongst the corrupt countries. What do you think is the reason, and what is the way to correct that?
Anyway, India is not a land of religious people, because you must understand this. Being religious means that you believe something. India has never been a land of believers. India has always been a land of seekers, seekers of truth, seekers of freedom and liberation, never believers. Even when the believed God himself had come, even then they only asked questions. The legend says God landed in India 9 times, but he could not give a single commandment, because people ask questions and questions. So they have never been a land of believers. If you are not a believer, you cannot be called religious, but they are land of seekers. A seeker means someone who has realized that he does not know. Nobody knows, but to know that you do not know is a big step. The difference between ignorance and super-ignorance is one knows that he is ignorant, another does not know that he is ignorant. That's when ignorance truly becomes damaging. Having said that, why corruption? People always ask me this question, Sadhguru, so many sages, you have such a galaxy of spiritual traditions, why poverty, why this problem? Let me tell you, where we are in southern India, where our yoga center is, 12 kilometers away there is one police station. Today they're little better equipped in the last 1 year or 1.5 years. Otherwise, there used to be about 11 to 12 policemen, constables, and 1 ASI or a sub-inspector, assistant sub-inspector. In this, always 3 people will be on leave. In that, 2 are for night duty. That means about 6 to 7 policemen. There is no vehicle, There is just one black telephone, there may be bicycles. If you tell him something happened, he will ask, should I really come? From there only he will tell you how to deal with the situation. Or in other words, there is really no active law enforcement, but there is no crime. Nobody kills each other. People live in abject poverty. If you enter their home, it's a single-room home, not a piece of furniture, all they have is probably 2-3 pairs of clothes. But they never… And people are coming to the yoga center in all kinds of cars, from Bentley to Mercedes to everything is driving. They never thought, why are these people driving this car? Why can't I grab it from him? Which they could, if they want. They never thought of doing that. That's being spiritual. I'm telling you, you take away… People generally say that in United States, at least in New York City, if you call the police, in 3 minutes flat, the police will be there, fully armed, okay? They not only have guns on their hip, they also have bigger armory in the boot. Fully armed police will arrive within 3 minutes. Take away the police from New York City for 3 days and see what happens. Then you will understand what it means to have an entire population spiritual. Not because of enforcement. There is no enforcement of any kind. But people live in a certain way because there is a deep-rooted spiritual process. If you kept any other population in the world as deprived as the Indian population is, when your children are malnourished and you know they have not eaten what they should eat to go to school, when you know your pregnant wife is not eating what she should eat to produce a healthy child, when you know if you go to the farm, you have not eaten what you have to do to effectively work there and still not take what belongs to your neighbor, that is spiritual process.
My question is, what happens after death?
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
some things you know best only by experience. Whatever is not in your experience, if I talk about it, what is the option you have? You can believe what I say, or you can disbelieve what I say. As I already said, whether you believe or disbelieve, you don't get any closer to truth. If you believe me, you will have a positive story to tell. If you disbelieve me, you will have a negative story to tell. But you will not know anything. So something's best known by experience. In other words, when you ask what happens after death, what you're asking is, what is the nature of my life? Does this life extend beyond this body? Or does this life end with this body? Fundamentally, you are asking, what is the nature of your life? Tell me, which is the best time for you to explore the nature of your life, now or after cremation? You must make up your mind. If it's now, that's why I'm here. If it's after cremation, all the best.
Okay, I have 5 minutes, so one final question from the audience. Go ahead. We need to pass the mic here. And we'll have to, Sadhguruji, you have to make it brief because we'll be
Pranam
going off.
Sadhguru. Thank you for being my inner strength. You're my hero. And my question is, you spoke about the violence. And I want to speak about the violence against animals, especially in India. You've also spoken about beef consumption. So I want to ask, a country like India, which has banned beef consumption in most of the states, why is it still the #1 exporter of beef in the world? There was a huge public outcry about Yulin festival where dogs were being boiled and eaten alive in China. But, you know…
Boiled means they were dead, okay?
No, they were boiled alive.
Yep.
And then they were consumed. And there was a huge, public outcry against that. But how is India any different? There are acid attacks happening. puppies are thrown from the
Okay,
roof.
so let's
and
take
then-
this as a collective question again, animal cruelty, and
Animal
how that
cruelty.
figures, and preventing
I'm
of
representing India Unites for Animals, and we'll be holding this, big social movement
Okay.
and peaceful protest.
We have to cut the
Yes,
question
okay,
short because
so-
we don't have time. Go ahead, Sadhguruji.
See, because of social media and because everybody has a camera in their hand right now, because of that, so many ugly situations in a country comes to surface. This doesn't mean this happens only in one country, it happens everywhere. In some places it happens in an organized way. I want you to visit one of the cattle farms in Texas or California. If you come out without tears in your eyes, you're not human. So unfortunately, it's everywhere. Cruelty is not against something. We must understand this. Cruelty is about the way we are. We are in a certain way. It doesn't matter what we can be cruel to, we will be cruel to that. This is a consequence of you being cruel to yourself. When you are capable of being cruel to yourself, you are capable of being cruel to everything around you. How it finds expression, how it manifests, depends on various social realities in which you exist. But fundamentally, cruelty to yourself means you know how to cause stress to yourself from morning to evening. You are a very cruel person. You know how to cause misery to yourself. You are a very cruel person. You know how to cause depression to yourself. You are a very cruel person. I want you to understand this because being cruel to myself is being cruel to the most defenseless life on the planet is this one, isn't it? Even if I try to attack a puppy, puppy still makes some attempt to escape, whether it does or not, but it makes some attempt to escape. When I start poking myself, this is a totally, absolutely defenseless life. So from this it starts. If you want to take away cruelty on the planet, you running campaigns against this and that will not take it away, it will just take more devious forms. But if human beings become joyful by their own nature, when you're feeling wonderful, you are wonderful to everything around you. When you're feeling horrible, you're horrible to everything around you. So the important thing is that you become a joyful being. This is the most fundamental responsibility that you have as a human being, because when you are in a pleasant state of existence, you respond in a pleasant way to everything around you. When you are in an unpleasant state, you will do unpleasant things.
Whether people go to a temple, church or mosque, they're busy making deals. Deal makers and devotees are two different people. We need to change the equation. It is not for those who do not have to talk about sharing, because what little they have, they're not willing to share. When success or failure makes no difference for you, you are a true success. When the result of an event has no impact on you, both ways you blissed out, you are a success. Till I was 19 years of age, I was so taciturn.